Emeth and to our Shabbat Evening Service on live stream. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary here at Temple Emeth in Teaneck. As we begin our service this evening, I hope you will take a moment to greet your fellow worshipers by posting your name and a greeting, perhaps your location, in the chat or comment section of your live stream platform. It is usually at this time in our service when I invite you to bring your prayer book to the screen or to open a digital version of the prayer book. Tonight, however, we are doing something different. Later in our service, we will welcome Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Brinjagard Bialik to give a sermon using art. Isaac is a talented artist and received a commission from the Central Conference of American Rabbis to create a set of slides for the Shabbat prayers. These slides are called Visual Tefillah, and Isaac has named this particular collection Paper Tefillah. So you'll be able to look at your screen for the prayers this evening. We begin our service, as always, with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. And so it is my pleasure at this time to call upon our bat mitzvah this weekend, Jada Pamos, to lead us in the lighting of our Shabbat candles.
O source of light and truth.
To the microphone and face that green light.
O source of light and truth, creator of the general law and goodness, help us find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotah, v'tivanu lehalik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue now with our Friday evening Kiddush. And I ask you, if you're able to please rise for the Kiddush. Okay, starting with English.
And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that he had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotah, v'ratavanu b'shabbat kodsho, b'ahava u'ratzon hinchalanu. Zikaru lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodecha באהבה ורצון חנכותנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדיש השבת. אמן.
Amen. L'chaim. Hey, take a sec. Please be seated. This evening, as we prepare for our opening song, Hine Matov, we have the opportunity to think of the way that art inspires us, the way that art enlivens the themes of the Torah and of the Jewish tradition. It is a tradition that goes back to Betzalel, the first artist or artisan of the Torah, and it extends throughout the centuries of Jewish history to this moment now. And so as we see the beautiful artwork of our slides, the paper tefillah, visual tefillah, that will beautify this service, I invite you to join with Cantor Tillam in joining in our opening song. We join together in Hine Matov.
Hine matov u'mana'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'mana'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'mana'im shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'mana'im shevet achim gam yachad.
The next part of our service is called Shema U'Virchoteha. It is the part of the service where we recite the Shema, where we invoke the themes of creation, redemption, and revelation. And often our prayer is a visual experience in the sense that we look at the words on a page, but I invite you at this time to think of prayer as a visual experience, not just because of the words, but because of shapes and colors and images. This is the opportunity we have as we think about art and how it beautifies our lives to have it beautify and deepen our prayer at this time. Our service continues with the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkodash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael b'gala u'vizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam olam me'amaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadai v'yitala Shmei Kedusha b'richu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbichata v'nachemata damiran be'alma v'imiru Amen.
Please rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, u'bitvuna mishanei itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakochavim b'mishmorotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'ma'avdil ben yom u'vein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel. Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts have you taught us. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. Then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Come Adonai et Yaakov, Glomir chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei, mekadeshei shuvi Shabbat. Kulam yisbehu v'yadambu mituvecha Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Ve'hashvi ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat, chemedad yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Zecher, zecher, lema'aseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher, zecher, lema'aseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomerei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat.
In a moment, we will continue our service with the tefillah, the central standing section of our prayer service. But before we do, I just want to acknowledge that this week our Torah portion is Parshat Trumah. Parshat Trumah tells the story of the Israelites in the desert and how they were asked to donate freely the different items that would be necessary in the construction of the tabernacle. It was a wide variety of items, probably some with very vivid colors and sparkly precious metals. It was probably something that was a feast just to behold even before these materials were put together in the construction of the tabernacle, the sacred space that they would build and unbuild and carry with them as they wandered through the desert. And so as they gave freely to construct the tabernacle, I ask you to consider giving freely of your hearts and souls and minds as we continue offering all that we have in prayer, continuing in the service. We continue now with the Amidah. I ask everyone to please rise.
Adonai sepatai tiftachu fi agiti latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו בעבר, מלך עוזר, משיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות ומדם הלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומטמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We take a moment now for Tfilat Halev, the opportunity to offer to God the prayer of our hearts. We take some time to think of the week that has passed and how we've grown from it, to think of the week ahead and what we hope to accomplish on it, but most importantly, how this day of Shabbat can be a day of rest, refreshment, and restoration, a gift from God.
Shalom, shalom.
At this time in our service, we offer prayers for those who are ill, those in need of healing. We will show on your screen the names of those loved ones of our members who have been submitted to the temple, but at the same time, I invite you to add the names of those you are thinking of in need of healing to the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. And we think as well of those who have been affected by the severe weather in Texas and other parts of our country, the immense suffering that is going on with the lack of power, lack of heat, lack of water, the way that it affects those who were already hospitalized, and the pain that it inflicts on so many at this time. We offer our prayers for healing, we offer our prayers for wholeness as we join together now in singing Rifa'enu, Heal Us Now.
Hoshienu v'niva she'ah El karab v'chol karab ach karab l'rayav isha. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole and Rifana. Oh, please heal us now. Riflat ha-nefesh, riflat ha-guf, riflat shlema, heal us now. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole and Rifana. Oh, please heal us now. Riflat ha-nefesh, riflat ha-guf, riflat shlema, heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us
Tonight, I am pleased to welcome to our service Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Bringegard-Bialik, who spend a lot of their time talking about Judaism, comic books, and art. They bring deep Jewish scholarship together with a contemporary reinterpretation of the traditional art of paper cutting, sharing insights, telling stories, and making what they call paper midrash, which is also the name they have given to their creative partnership. Isaac Bringegard-Bialik cuts up comic books and reassembles them into paper cuts that explore the stories of the Jewish people, connecting popular culture with sacred texts. He has shown his paper cuts in galleries across the globe and has commissions in museums, synagogues, hospitals, and private collections, including a commission from Temple Emeth to make the gift that was presented to me at my Temple Emeth bar mitzvah in 2016. Rabbi Shauna Bringegard-Bialik adapts traditional Jewish concepts to a modern Reform context and brings that synergy to students of all ages. She is an engaging teacher of Torah, bringing text to life with her unique modern perspective. She was ordained in 2002 as a member of HUC-JIR's first Los Angeles class, and served as associate rabbi at Temple Ahavat Shalom in Northridge, California. Perhaps most importantly, Isaac, Shauna, and I have known each other since our undergraduate days at UCLA, which I calculated and is literally half a lifetime ago for me. And to prove it, 2 weeks ago in a feature article about tonight's service, the Jewish Standard ran a photo of the three of us taken in 1995. None of us has changed a bit. Joining us from their home in Southern California to speak on Purim masks and secret identities, it is my pleasure to introduce Paper Midrash, Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Brinjagard-Bialik.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, I think we calculated the last time we led services together was like 28 years ago at UCLA. So we're really excited to be with you guys from across the country and to talk about comic books and Torah, which we think actually go really well together.
Yeah, we love talking about superheroes. We love traveling around to different communities and doing it together. This is an opportunity to be with you, albeit virtually. We're going to make sure that our slides are refreshing here so that they can follow along with us. But the thing about superheroes is the secret identity. That is a key part of most of their stories. Whether it is millionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, who runs around at night dressed as Batman, or Superman / Clark Kent, depending on who you think is the hero and who is the disguise. The idea of a secret identity is core to what make modern superheroes tick.
Right, and one of the reasons we think it works really well with Jewish text is actually the creators of many of the modern superheroes were Jewish and had their own secret identities.
That's right. You may be familiar with the names Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who were responsible for creating most of the Marvel Cinematic Universe superheroes, the Avengers, Iron Man, the Hulk, but they were born Stanley Lieber and Jacob Kurtzberg and changed their names, took on a little bit of a Gentile disguise so that they could fit in with American society.
But we find that even in those stories of capes and tights, there are Jewish values tucked in those comic book stories. One of the other staples of comic books with that secret identity is that the audience is in on it. We know what their secret identity is. We know who they really are. And that sense that we're a part of the action heightens the drama and helps us really connect to those stories. Similarly to what happens with the Purim story, we know, not just because we read this story every year, we know that Esther is hiding her Jewish identity. And we, the reader, we're in on the secret. And we continue to tell this story year after year, and we dress up like the characters and we wear crazy costumes to connect with the Purim story. We wear costumes on Purim, but it's not just Esther that's hiding her identity. It's actually everybody in the Purim story is pretending to be something they're not. King Ahasuerus is pretending that he is a powerful king, but all he does is listen to his advisors. Haman is pretending that he is the one that really has the power, but he's really insecure. And even Mordecai changes costumes based on what he's showing to others. Everybody in the Purim story is dressing up.
What's interesting about dressing up and about disguise and costume is that it can sometimes be to conceal who you are, but sometimes it's a way to broadcast more about your real identity. When you see a comic book character who's wearing bright primary colors, it's very often a superhero like Superman or Wonder Woman. When you see a character who's wearing darker colors or the secondary colors, greens, purples, oranges, it's usually because they're a villain. And there's something about what they wear that enables you to make snap judgments about them, but also for a person to let you know where they stand.
Right, and you play with this in your art with the concept of Joseph's coat.
That's right. So Joseph, we know, has this coat of many colors when he's a kid, and it says something about him, and it says something that he wears it so prominently. It affects his relationship with his brothers. But we also see Joseph later taking on Egyptian finery. This piece is sort of a play on both of those two things. It's made out of cut-up comic books featuring superhero costumes because of that sense of how much what you choose to wear reveals parts of you and covers up parts of you.
right? Because ultimately this coat is going to be used by Joseph's brothers, dipped in a goat's blood, and they're going to pretend or let their father think that he has died. And so we have a bit of a distrust of clothing and costumes, and that comes through really clearly in the Hebrew. If you look, you can see that these two words have the same root. If you pronounce it beged with those vowels, it's clothing, but with different vowels, it's bagad, which is cheating, like cheating on a spouse, engaging in treason, or betrayal. So the Hebrew really reveals our discomfort with that clothing has the option to show who you are, but also gives you an opportunity to hide or to be deceptive in some way.
Yeah, which is why I think heroes who dress up in costume or disguise tend to be very clear that they're doing so for a good reason. That they're doing so not because they're trying to pull one over on you because they're cheating or in some way evil. Heroes want you to know they're wearing the disguise for a very good reason.
Right, but it also taps into something about human nature. Like in the Purim story, right, there is something about the disguises that we wear, that maybe we're not always wearing super bright costumes or colors that represent, but we certainly choose what we wear and what we want to show the world and what we want to hide from the world.
Yeah, so, it's, as I said, reasons that you might do this. Number one on the list is probably having a private life. Here we see what happens when Spider-Man has revealed his identity to the world press. He and his wife, Mary Jane, are constantly hounded by paparazzi, and he realizes, oh yes, the part of the secret of having an identity to myself is that I have private time. It's not unsimilar to this other reason, which would be to protect your loved ones, not just from scrutiny of the press, but from actual physical danger.
Right, which we actually see in Torah. With Abraham and Sarah and Isaac and Rebekah. We have stories of both of those couples where Abraham and Isaac pretend that their wives are their sisters in order to protect their families. But there's a little bit, it could also be a little bit of self-interest. They're not just protecting their wives, they're also protecting themselves.
Interest is another reason that a character in a comic book might adopt a secret identity disguise. For instance, Loki is often disguising himself either as his brother Thor or his father Odin in hopes of getting a bit of their power and authority by wearing their clothing, sometimes literally.
Similarly, that's what Jacob does with his brother Esau, that he disguises himself like his brother in order to trick his father and get the blessing. And it's something that we're a little bit uncomfortable with, and you play with that in your art as well.
Yeah, there's something about Jacob taking on the putting these fake goatskin furs on so that he feels like his brother Esau to trick his father into something that he has traded Esau for, but nonetheless, this sense of the trickster, the hero, they become muddled up in the story of Jacob and Esau. That's why this piece, which is made of cut-up comics featuring Thor and Loki, does not reveal which hand is Jacob and which is Esau, nor which is Thor and which is Loki. There's confusion about identity.
Right, and I think that's something that we see with secret identities, and kind of that ambiguity, that villains also disguise themselves to get away with something.
Yeah, here you can see Jimmy is wanting to solve a crime without Superman and thinks putting on this fake mustache will give him enough of a disguise to do that, to basically to get away with being a hero when he feels he's only been a sidekick.
Right, and in the Bible, Saul does something similar. He dresses up in a costume to go speak to the witches of Endor. He knows he's not supposed to talk to the witches and to get predictions about the future, and he thinks that he's able to disguise himself so that he can get away with it, and of course, he's not.
Reason number 5 why a character in a comic book might have a secret identity is to test others. So it might be that you want to find out the truth about someone else's character, and that by disguising yourself, you can get that secret revealed.
And sorry, our slide's one behind.
I'll see if I can.
And now I'm lost. Right, so Joseph also, he hides from his brothers in order to test them. Right, that when his brothers come to Egypt, they don't recognize him, and he takes advantage of that to see if they've really grown and changed. Are they the same brothers that pretended that he was dead and sold him off to Egypt? Or are they willing to, have they changed? Will they step up and protect their brother? So he has this very elaborate scheme to see, are they going to leave Benjamin behind, or are they going to protect their family and bring Benjamin back with them? And we see this theme of protecting others over and over and over in stories. In many of our stories about Elijah, Elijah's always in disguise to test somebody, to the point that we know if we hear a story where there is an old man that shows up at somebody's door, that it's probably Elijah. That if there's a poor man who shows up and gives a family something right before Shabbat, or to see how a family is going to treat him, it's often Elijah. That Elijah tests people by trying to see what they do when they don't know who he is. And give us just a second, we're going to get our slides back in order.
Yeah, the beauty of this is that we can sort of do this behind the scenes and bring up our Elijah stand-in here for you. Yeah, that idea that this disguise allows you to see how someone will react. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you can also use that disguise to force someone's hand, to force them into acting in a certain way that you want them to. So here, Catwoman has disguised herself as a prostitute in order to force a criminal into doing something that she can then nail him for. And so this disguise forces him to take that action.
And we see that in Torah as well, using a disguise to force someone to action. In fact, very similarly, Tamar also dresses up like a prostitute to force Judah to do the right thing. And ultimately, she is successful in getting him to do what he needs to do.
Now I'm going to bring us back to Superman for the last reason that you have a disguise. We mentioned that Superman dresses up Clark, the reporter, the great metropolitan, so that he can be in the right place at the right time.
Right, and this is the same reason that Esther has as well. In fact, we're told in the book of Esther, Mordecai says to her, perhaps you're in this position, able to be in the palace specifically to solve this kind of a problem, right? So that Esther winds up being in the right place at the right time to make a difference. And she has Mordecai that knows what's happening. That she's got somebody who's in on it with her, that helps her get into this right place. And it's this, we don't see this in classic Superman where somebody knows his identity or is helping him out.
Yeah, it's much more of a modern trope. Usually it's the superhero by herself, but nowadays we see, especially in TV, Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, we see a whole team of people who know the hero's secret identity, and they help her with her mission of fighting crime.
Right, and the rest of the world is still in the dark. But us as the reader or the audience, we know the secret. And we love these kinds of stories because then we are now a part of that team. And it ups the drama because we know that a reveal is coming. And now we want to know, how are they going to be revealed? How are they going to find out? Because sometimes those disguises are so thin, we can't help but think, how come nobody notices?
It's true. Even Superman here is wondering. He says when an ordinary person starts wearing glasses, you don't say, who are you? You say, who are you? You say, oh, you got glasses. These disguises can be really threadbare. Even Green Lantern, who takes to wearing this domino mask, his ex-girlfriend says, you think I wouldn't recognize you because I can't see your cheekbones? So yes, we know at some point someone is going to find out who they really are behind that mask.
Right, and that tension we see picked up in the Midrash as well. That there is something suspicious about Esther, and that he was trying to get her to reveal her identity. And so suggesting that all of these things that happen when she is brought to the palace with lowering taxes and giving gifts and throwing a party, that all of that is designed to get her to reveal who she really is. And she doesn't. But the rabbis, they share that reflection that we have of, how does he not know? Like, when are we going to find out what the truth is?
Yeah, but I think part of that is that Esther is waiting to reveal it when it's the right time. There's a time to use your superhero name, your disguise, and there's a time to remove that mask and use your real name.
Right, and often we see that if you're going to reveal your true self as a superhero, it's because you're going to do something heroic.
That's right. Superboy, weighing the benefits of keeping his identity versus saving Lana from a rampaging lion. Obviously, he's going to reveal his identity to help her. Or Wonder Woman, who realizes that she has to reveal her identity in this story to save the lives of innocent people. That's not a question of whether she would or not. Of course she will.
Right, and ultimately that's the same thing in the story of Esther as well. Esther ultimately says, look, I know it's dangerous for me to reveal my Jewish identity and to approach the king, and I'm going to do it anyway, even though it's dangerous, because that's the only way to save my people. And her reveal at a banquet winds up being kind of a public announcement.
Yeah, in the same way that we see Tony Stark calling a press conference, having all of the world's media there, and announcing that he's Iron Man. That is a big, loud announcement about his true identity.
Right, and this was so surprising at the end of the movie because we went, what? Superheroes never do that. If they're going to reveal who they are, it's usually done much quieter, much more privately.
That's right, as here we see Kal-El and Lois, and he's going to reveal to her that he is both Clark Kent and Superman, and it's this very intimate, close moment for just the two of them, where he's going to reveal that, under her nose, he's been Superman right in front of her all the time.
And this is also how God reveals God's self in the story. The book of Esther doesn't mention the name of God at all. And yet Midrash reveals God's presence in the story by connecting two words. You can see in purple and in green that in Deuteronomy, when God says austere, hidden, that's really Esther, and that's how we know God's presence. And so that reveal is a much more personal, intimate reveal between us and God to discover where God is in that story. It's not obvious. We have to look.
Yeah, and there's something about that moment when you do see the face and the identity of the other person. Here, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, who have just met for the first time in this comic book, have enough trust to tell each other their real identities. Wonder Woman says her name is Diana. Superman says his name is Clark Kent. Batman says his name is Batman, which is a whole other thing about who you are and whether the mask reveals or disguises your identity. But that moment of really saying, this is who I am, and this is who I am with you.
Right, and realizing what to disguise and what's real for you. And we've talked a lot about what's Superman's real identity. And maybe this is the answer when he says Kal-El. But that's something that we need to know about ourselves as well. I love this scene because it's finding the people that you trust. But we have a saying in our tradition about prayer, that when you step up to pray, Da lifnei mi ata omed, know before whom you stand. Rabbi Nellie Altenberger actually teaches to think about this and to translate it another way and to add some punctuation. That if you read this as Da lifnei mi ata omed, know beforehand who are you pretending to be. That we need to know who we are, that if ever we can be honest with ourselves, honest in prayer, that we need to know who we are and we need to know who we're pretending to be, because we all wear masks and disguise ourselves and choose how we are seen in the world. And Purim is really a chance for us to recognize that and to see that when we dress up so outrageously, to think about what that means about who we really are in the less outrageous ways that we disguise ourselves. Because ultimately, if we're going to connect with God, if we're going to connect with each other, we need to be honest about who we are.
Yeah, and Superman has gone through a similar introspection lately. In a storyline written by the Jewish comic book writer Brian Michael Bendis, Superman recently revealed his identity to the entire world. And one of the reasons that he gives is that he stands for truth and justice. And how can he do so when he is constantly lying about his identity to so many people in so many different ways?
I think this is part of the reason why superhero stories are so compelling, and also why the Purim story is so compelling, because this is something that maybe we don't do in such an obvious way with capes and tights, but it is certainly something that we do on a regular basis. These days, we're all wearing masks when we're out in public or around other people to protect other people, to protect ourselves, and we're so aware of all of the things that we miss when we can't see somebody's whole face. We're also really aware of all the things we can hide when people don't recognize us or when people aren't seeing our whole face. So I think these stories speak to that piece in human nature that ask us, what are we dressing up as? This is what I like about the story of Esther. She finds her truth. She develops as a leader. She goes from someone who's just following Mordecai's instructions to a heroine who comes into her own. She chooses how and when and who to reveal her identity to. And that's what makes her a hero. Not that she's got a secret identity, but that when she's able to be open and honest about who she really is, that's the moment that she's able to save the Jewish people. And so on this Shabbat before Purim, as we all prepare to put on our colorful Purim masks, let us also take off the figurative masks that we use to hide from other people and that we use to hide from ourselves. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you so much to Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Brinjigard-Bialik. That was amazing, the way that you tied all of these themes together with our masks and our secret identities. So I really appreciate it. We're going to have another opportunity to hear from you, so I look forward to that. But I also want to take this opportunity to say that in honor of this presentation, the cantor and I have superhero costumes for Purim. Purim is this Thursday at 7 p.m., and we're dressing up as superheroes, I guess, in keeping with the hidden part. I'm not going to tell you which superheroes we are, but we also have special masks. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm trusting the cantor. She says they're cute, and that I'm going to enjoy wearing one. So we look forward to tying together the themes that we just heard from Isaac and Shauna to the fun time that we have planned this Thursday at 7 o'clock. We are going to continue now with the Aleinu, and we'll resume now looking at the visual tefillah slides on your screen. So I ask you please to rise for the Aleinu.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gdula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kikoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpchat adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gar aleinu kichol amonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one, whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim, 30-day period of mourning: Bernice Bunny Ritzer, a Temple member and wife of Nathan Ritzer; Ruth Ann Lucanto, remembered by Abby and Andy Schlechtman; Marlene Newman, remembered by Abby and Andy Schlechtman; Sharon Silbert, aunt of Joy Furshine; Elizabeth Watson, sister-in-law of Paul Kaufman; Rhoda Gruen, cousin of Mickey Grunstein and Jane Lund; and Harry Herstein, remembered by Michael Robinson. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits occurred this week: Frank K. Adler, Elsie Albert, Maurice S. Austin, Ruben Ezra Blumenfeld, Joan Cooper, Lachi Epstein, Edward Fruchter, Alexander Gertler, George Fred Goldstein, Rose Green, Sid Grossman, Sylvia Grossman, Sophie Kaminer, Edith Kane, Brenda Klotz, Nathan Krappel, Ann Quate, Seymour Liederman, Harry Levenstein, Paul Moravnik, Marvin Miller, Neil Pape, Ruth Pasval, Bernard Perlman, Anna R. Prus, John Rechnitz, Lisa Rechnitz, Natalie Rosen, Sydney Rosenfeld, Stanton Sachs, Julius Schleifer, Ida Schwach, Sylvester E. Silverberg, Shirley Silverstein, Edward Smolin, Rebecca Spiegelglass, Bernie Spees, and Jay Winters. We remember the names of 6 of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust. Yutko Katz of the Soviet Union, age 53, Lieb Kantor of the Soviet Union, age 32, Max Katznelson of the Soviet Union, age 44, Leah Wichman of the Soviet Union, age 35, Yuda Gurari of the Soviet Union, age 33, and Fanya Gurari of the Soviet Union, age 40. We recall as well those who have died in the past week from the severe weather, and those who've died of COVID-19 and other illnesses as we continue to grapple with the global pandemic. We remember all of them. We take them into our hearts with our own as we continue now with the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach leolam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha b'rechu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Nikki Falk, the president of our congregation, to offer Shabbat greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And thank you. Cantor answered, Rabbi answered. And welcome to our Shabbat Evening Service on live stream. Welcome and thank you to Isaac and Rabbi Shona Brinjagard Bialik, also known as Paper Midrash, for their sermon this evening. Mazel tov to Jada, who will be called tomorrow as a bat mitzvah, and to her mother, Kendall Sadaneri, and the entire family. Shalach Manot is being delivered this Sunday. If you've ordered Shalach Manot to give to your non-member friends, please plan on picking them up at the temple parking lot this Sunday between 9 a.m. and noon. Our next unit of adult education mini university begins this Tuesday, February 23rd on Zoom. At 7:30 p.m., Cantor Tillam will teach on Waiting for a Miracle, the importance of recognizing miracles in our times. And at 8:40, Rabbi David Bachman will teach on the Word of God between the divine and human realms. As you heard a little bit about Purim, come celebrate with us this Thursday at 7 and see our superheroes in action. A special service being planned to be shown on on live stream platforms. It will include a skit, a junior choir video, a virtual costume parade, and the temple's favorite cowboy. What better way to spend a Saturday night than with a glass or two or 3 or 4 of wine. Join us for a special virtual wine tasting on Saturday, March 13th at 7 p.m. Participants will receive 4 full bottles, that's a lot of wine, 2 reds and 2 whites, and we'll learn about how wine goes from vineyard to bottle, from bottle to glass, and from glass to you. In order to get the wines to you on time, you must RSVP by next Sunday, February 28th. Details and a reservation link were in yesterday's email. I'd like to add a short plug for our upcoming town hall meeting on Sunday, March 14th at 11 a.m. Learn about what's been going on at Temple, ask questions of your officers, and visit with your fellow congregants. Temple Emeth is partnering with Ember by Smokey Joe to offer a discount on packages of Seder food. Use the promotion code to receive 5% off your order if you order by March 15th. Again, see our website for more information, and I believe it was also in the emails. Thank you to tonight's volunteers in our live stream control booth. Meredith Alvaro Gebhardt, Allegra Alvera, and Talia Serbu are managing tonight's broadcast. Finally, remember to keep the weekly email you receive Thursday in your inbox all week long. It has the login codes for all of the week's Zoom programming. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. As our service nears its end, I would like to make two special acknowledgments. First, I would like to welcome our confirmation class to this service. Our confirmation class this year is a combined group of 11th and 10th graders, and while we hope to have some in-person programming in the spring, so far all of their classes have been on Zoom. They had the chance to make golems with Isaac and Rabbi Shauna a few weeks ago, and in just a moment, you will be able to see their work and hear about how you can participate in a similar workshop yourself. I'd like to invite the students in the confirmation class to identify yourselves right now in the chat or comment section of the live stream at this time. And I'll remind you, confirmation class, that we have a Zoom social justice seminar with the Religious Action Center, which starts this Sunday at 1 o'clock. And to the whole congregation, you can mark your calendar. I invite you to be part of the confirmation celebration Sunday evening, May 16th. Next, I would like to acknowledge Mona Rubin, who is the chairperson of this weekend's special activities. Mona is a relatively new Temple member, and this is her first time chairing a Temple event. She helped with the organization and publicity, but her main responsibility turned out to be diligently delivering art kits to those who have signed up for Sunday's workshop. So thank you to Mona. And speaking of Sunday's workshop, we do have just a few spots left to make your own golem on Zoom on Sunday at 3 p.m. I'd like to bring back Isaac and Rabbi Shauna to show you what our young people created when it was their turn and what you can expect if you participate in our Make Your Own Golem workshop.
Hi. So there's another superhero like Esther, a very different kind of superhero, the Golem, and we had the opportunity to spend time with the confirmation students. So you can see here some of their works in progress, teaching and learning about the Golem. This is some of what they created, and you'll have an opportunity to create one as well if you would like to join us in our adult workshop on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's 90 minutes, and you get all of the materials that you need to create your own golem with us from the comfort of your own home. It's really a wonderful program in which we talk about the origins of the golem narrative in Jewish tradition. We talk about the development of it through pop culture, in movies and books. And yeah, we get to do a little work hands-on, just as I do here in my studio, cutting up comic books to make golems.
Right, and it requires absolutely no experience with using an X-Acto knife or any art experience at all, really. Anybody can do this.
And we've been doing this with adults and with your confirmation class, and it's just such a great activity, an opportunity to work on art together with the community. As Rabbi Serbu said, talking about Betzalel in this Torah portion, where everyone brought all that they had to help build the Mishkan in the desert, this is an opportunity for you to bring all of yourself to this project as a community and make golems with us. And there are still a few spots available for Sunday's workshop.
Right, so this is a picture of the kit that you'll receive if you're going to join us. And if you just email Mona, and her email's right there on the slide, if you email her, she will arrange to get you your very own Make Your Own Golem packet before this Sunday.
you, Mona. Oh, I was just going to say thank you to everyone, and Ed and Meredith for helping us be with you this weekend and for making everything tonight go so well.
Much. Our closing song is Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Please join as the cantor leads us.
Shir Ladonai kol haaretz, Shir Ladonai shir chadash, Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz, Shir Ladonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shir Ladonai kol haaretz, Shir Ladonai shir chadash. Sing unto God a new song.
Well, this is one final reminder to be part of the bonds of virtual community that we seek to form even when we watch our services online. I invite you to post one more Shabbat greeting, perhaps something new that you learned in the sermon from our guest presenters, or just the simple words Shabbat Shalom as we turn to one another. A few people here in the sanctuary, if you are sharing your sacred space, your Mikdash Ma'at with someone, I invite you to turn to them right now. We conclude our service with the words Shabbat Shalom.